My name is Clara. I'm 36 years old, and the memory of that day is branded into my mind. My sister Olivia's wedding was supposed to be a celebration of love, but it morphed into the darkest chapter of my recent life. The image of my daughter Maya's face, contorted in pain and shock as her own aunt, my sister, grabbed her by the hair, still makes a wave of nausea crash over me. I never imagined my own family could betray us so deeply, all because of a sum of money I had painstakingly saved for my little girl's future. Before I tell you what happened next, let me know where you're watching from in the comments. And please hit that like and subscribe button if you believe family is meant to be a safe harbor, not the storm itself. Life as a single mother is a constant juggling act, but for the last 6 years, I've made it my mission. After my divorce from Mark, I made a silent vow that my daughter Maya would never feel like she was missing out on opportunities because of our circumstances. Juggling a full-time job as a receptionist and weekend shifts at a local bookstore was exhausting, but it allowed me to build a nest egg, $20,000, set aside exclusively for Maya's college education. It wasn't a king's ransom, but to me it represented thousands of extra hours, countless packed lunches instead of buying them, and a long list of small personal wants I'd pushed aside. Maya was my entire universe, a deeply sensitive 9-year-old with a heart full of empathy and a remarkable talent for music. She could lose herself for hours with her violin. The melodies she coaxed from it were her way of speaking to the world. Her teachers always remarked on her kindness, how she was the first to notice a classmate feeling down and offer a quiet word of comfort. I often looked at her and felt a surge of awe, wondering how I got so lucky to be the mother of such a thoughtful, beautiful soul. My relationship with Olivia, my younger sister, was, let's just say, layered. Growing up, she was the sun in our Mother Helen's solar system, the golden child. I was taught to be practical, responsible, and grounded, while Olivia was encouraged to chase every whim and dream big. That dynamic never really changed. My mother would gush about Olivia's every accomplishment, while my own were met with a polite but distracted nod. After college, Olivia had landed a high-stress, high-reward job in investment banking and adopted a lifestyle I could only see in magazines. Designer everything, exotic vacations, a sprawling loft apartment with skyline views. Her boyfriends were always equally ambitious and successful. So when she got engaged to Marcus, a handsome entrepreneur from an incredibly wealthy family, our mother was practically levitating with joy. Despite the complicated history between us, I was truly happy for my sister. I wanted nothing more than for her to have a beautiful wedding and a lifetime of happiness. The day she called to share her engagement news, I congratulated her with all my heart and genuinely offered to help in any way I could. The first red flags, however, started waving during the wedding planning. What was initially envisioned as an elegant, tasteful wedding soon spiraled into a production of staggering extravagance. The venue was upgraded 3 times, each one more opulent and expensive than the last. The guest list ballooned from 100 people to well over 300. Every single detail, from the napkins to the lighting, had to be bespoke and utterly perfect. Maya and I went shopping for her dress, and we found a lovely but affordable powder blue gown at a department store. Maya was over the moon about getting to dress up and be a part of her aunt's special day. She spun around in front of the fitting room mirror, her face lit up, the satin sash on her dress fluttering. "Do you think Aunt Olivia will like my dress, Mom?" she asked, her eyes shining with pure, unadulterated excitement. "She will absolutely love it, sweetie," I told her, a small prayer in my heart that it was true. I did my best to be a supportive sister, even as Olivia's demands grew more and more intense. I'd listen patiently to late-night calls where she'd vent about the floral arrangements not being the exact shade of blush pink she'd envisioned, or complain about the bridesmaid dresses. I tried to remember the stress of my own much simpler wedding and afford her some grace. Then, about a month before the wedding, something wonderful happened. Olivia came over for Sunday dinner, a rare moment of simple family time. Maya, who had been practicing a special piece for her, played the violin for her aunt. It was a sweet, lilting melody, and she played it with all her heart. When she finished, Olivia seemed genuinely moved. "That was beautiful, Maya. You are so gifted," she said, pulling my daughter into a warm hug. Maybe you could play a short piece for the guests as they're being seated before the ceremony?" Maya's face lit up like a 1,000-watt bulb. "Really? I can? I'll practice every day," she promised. That small moment filled me with so much hope. For a few hours, as Olivia and I reminisced about our childhood over coffee while Maya hummed her chosen melody, it felt like we were sisters again. The competition, the judgment, it all melted away, and we were just family. That hope, however, was about to be shattered. 2 weeks before the wedding, my phone rang. It was my mother, her voice clipped and serious. "Clara, we need to have a family meeting tomorrow night. It's about the wedding. Can you meet us at the Gilded Spoon?" The Gilded Spoon was a notoriously expensive downtown restaurant, the kind of place you go for major anniversaries, not a casual chat. "Is everything all right?" I asked, a knot of anxiety tightening in my stomach. "We'll talk about it tomorrow," she said, her tone leaving no room for questions, and then she hung up. I had a bad feeling, but I never could have predicted that this meeting would be the first step into a nightmare that would tear our family apart. The Gilded Spoon was humming with the quiet clink of silverware and the low murmur of well-heeled diners when Maya and I arrived. I couldn't find a sitter on such short notice, so she'd come along with her little sketchbook and a set of colored pencils. We found my mother and Olivia already at a table in a secluded corner, sipping on vibrant-looking cocktails. "Sorry, I had to bring Maya," I said, sliding into the booth. My usual sitter was busy. My mother gave Maya a look of thinly veiled irritation. "This is really an adult conversation, Clara." "I'll be super quiet, Grandma," Maya chirped, already opening her sketchbook. "I'll just draw." Olivia waved over a waiter. "Let's order first. We can talk after." For a while, things were surprisingly pleasant. Olivia chattered about the final wedding preparations, and my mother shared some gossip about relatives who would be attending. I started to relax, thinking maybe I'd overreacted to my mother's tone on the phone. But then, after the main courses were served, the mood shifted. My mother placed her fork down with a deliberate click and fixed her eyes on me. "Clara, we have a situation with the wedding, and we need your help." Olivia nodded, her expression suddenly grim. "The company we hired for the sound and lighting system just backed out. Some ridiculous contract issue." "Oh no, that's awful," I said, feeling a pang of genuine sympathy. "Can you find a new company this late?" "We found one," my mother said, "but because it's such a rush job, they require the full payment up front, $20,000. The number hit me like a physical blow. $20,000. It was the exact amount sitting in the savings account for Maya's future. "We need you to cover it," Olivia stated, her tone flat and matter-of-fact. "You can wire the money to us tomorrow." I just stared at them, my mind reeling. "You want me to pay $20,000 for the lighting at your wedding?" "It's a loan, of course," my mother added quickly. "Olivia and Marcus will pay you back as soon as they get back from their honeymoon." "Why can't Marcus help?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. "Or you, Mom? Olivia, you have a great job." Olivia rolled her eyes with practiced disdain. Marcus already paid for the entire venue. Mom covered the florist and the band. I'm paying for everything else. We've all stretched ourselves thin. But $20,000 is everything I have, I explained, lowering my voice so Maya wouldn't overhear the details. That's her entire college fund. My mother reached across the table and patted my hand in that condescending way she has. Clara, family comes first. This is a once-in-a-lifetime day for Olivia. Maya won't need that money for years. There's plenty of time to save it again. But what if you can't pay me back right away? I asked, a cold dread creeping in. Olivia looked personally offended. Of course we'll pay you back. Eventually. Once we're settled in. This is for your sister, my mother chimed in, her voice taking on a harder edge. It's just money, Clara. If worst comes to worst, Maya can always get student loans. Most kids do. I glanced over at Maya. She'd stopped drawing and was watching us, her big eyes wide with worry. She couldn't understand the words, but she felt the tension radiating from our table. I want to help, I said, turning back to them. I really do, but I cannot drain Maya's college fund. I could give you $2,000, but I can't do 20. Olivia's face turned to stone. It's all or nothing. The new company won't take a partial deposit. Then I'm sorry, I said, my heart pounding. I can't do it. My mother's expression curdled. You've always been this way, Clara. So selfish. Always thinking only of yourself. Making sure my daughter has a future is not selfish, I countered, struggling to keep my voice from shaking. Olivia suddenly stood up, grabbing her purse. Fine. If that's how you feel, then don't bother coming to the wedding. Either of you. My mother gasped. Olivia, wait, she'll come around. She turned to me, her eyes pleading but also menacing. Clara, think about what you are doing. This is your only sister's wedding. How will it look if her own family isn't there? The emotional blackmail was so blatant, it was almost laughable. Are you worried about how it looks? Or are you worried about our actual relationship? You're being so dramatic, Olivia snapped. If you actually cared about this family, you would just help without making such a scene. Maya tugged on my sleeve. Mom, what's wrong? It's nothing, sweetie. Just grown-up stuff, I whispered, though my hands were trembling. I need your answer. Now, Olivia demanded. Are you with this family, or are you not? Looking at their two expectant, entitled faces, I knew. They truly believed I would cave, that I should cave, that my daughter's future was a small price to pay for a one-day party. My answer is no, I said, the words feeling both terrifying and liberating. I will not take that money from Maya's future. My mother's face flushed with a deep, blotchy red. After everything we have done for you, you are so ungrateful. Olivia glared at me. You can still come to the wedding if you change your mind, she said coldly, and only if you change your mind. They left. Just like that. They walked out of the restaurant, leaving Maya and me sitting there with our half-eaten, expensive meals. Are we not going to Aunt Olivia's wedding anymore? Maya asked softly on the car ride home. I don't know, honey, I answered, my voice thick. Aunt Olivia and Grandma are very upset with me. Because of the money? She asked. Kids always understand more than we think. Yes, because of money for your future. I don't need it, she said, her little voice so earnest it broke my heart. If it makes Aunt Olivia happy. Tears sprang to my eyes. That is so kind of you, my love. But that money is for you. And your aunt should understand that. That night, after I put Maya to bed, I called my best friend, Sarah. She listened to the entire sordid story without a single interruption. They're testing you, Clara, she said when I was done. This is a power play. Olivia, your mom, Marcus. They can all afford this. This is about seeing if they still have control over you. "So what do I do?" I asked, feeling lost. "You hold your ground," she said firmly. "Go to the wedding, be polite, be gracious, but do not give them that money." After we hung up, I made up my mind. We would go. We would hold our heads high, bring a lovely gift, and celebrate my sister. But I would not sacrifice my daughter's future for a lighting system she could more than afford. A few days later, Olivia sent a curt text. "You can still come to the wedding." I chose to see it as an olive branch, a sign that they'd figured out the money issue on their own. I hoped the wedding day itself might be a chance to start healing the rift. I was so devastatingly wrong. The wedding venue was a historic manor that looked like it had been plucked from a fairy tale. Sprawling green lawns, valet parking for the endless stream of luxury cars, and waiters offering flutes of champagne to guests as they arrived. Maya's jaw dropped. "It looks like a castle, Mom," she whispered, nervously smoothing the skirt of her blue dress. I straightened my own simple, modest dress, feeling suddenly and intensely out of place, even though it was the nicest thing I owned. "Okay, sweetie, remember your best manners today. This is a very fancy party." My mother greeted us at the entrance with a frosty air kiss that didn't come within an inch of my cheek. She barely glanced at Maya. "Olivia's getting ready in the bridal suite," she said dismissively. "The ceremony is in an hour. Why don't you find some seats toward the back?" The sting of her words was sharp, but I kept my face a mask of neutrality for Maya's sake. We walked through the opulent halls, admiring the ridiculously elaborate floral sculptures and crystal chandeliers. It looked like they had spent a fortune. Professional photographers and videographers swarmed the place, capturing every tiny, expensive detail. "Mom, look at the cake!" Maya gasped, pointing to a towering six-tiered confection adorned with impossibly delicate sugar flowers and shimmering gold leaf. "It's the most beautiful cake I've ever seen." I saw the little sign next to it, naming the famous high-end bakery it came from. Just another piece of evidence that made their desperate plea for my $20,000 feel more and more like a cruel joke. We found seats in the manicured garden where the ceremony was to be held. Not all the way in the back like my mother had suggested, but not in a prominent spot either. Maya was thrilled, taking pictures of the flowers with my phone, still excited to be part of such a grand day despite the undercurrent of tension. Marcus's family occupied the front rows. They were the picture of old money, the women dripping in understated but clearly expensive jewelry, the men in perfectly tailored suits. Marcus's mother, Eleanor, stood out. She wore a sophisticated navy blue dress, her silver hair styled in an elegant chignon. She had an aura of quiet power that commanded attention without demanding it. As we waited, I overheard two of Olivia's bridesmaids whispering behind us. "Can you believe her sister just refused to help with the lighting emergency?" one said. "I know." Olivia was livid, the other replied. "Said her sister has always been jealous. Apparently she's not doing so well financially and resents Olivia's success." My face burned with humiliation, but I stared straight ahead, pretending I hadn't heard a word. The narrative they had spun was so twisted, it was almost impressive in its cruelty. The ceremony itself, I had to admit, was breathtaking. Olivia looked like a movie star in her couture gown, and Marcus looked at her with pure adoration as they exchanged their vows. For a fleeting moment, as I watched my little sister promise to love and cherish her new husband, a wave of nostalgia washed over me for the days when we were just two little girls who shared secrets and dreams. At the reception, the subtle snubs continued. Maya and I were seated at a table in the farthest corner of the grand ballroom, with some distant cousins and a few of Marcus's junior colleagues. I ignored the slight, focusing on making polite conversation and making sure Maya was having a good time. The catering, the source of our supposed financial crisis, was impeccable. An army of servers in crisp uniforms delivered course after course of gourmet food. The wine was flowing, and a live 10-piece orchestra played. Watching the staff bring out another elaborate course, I couldn't help but wonder again why my $20,000 had been so critical. My mother came over to our table during dessert, her smile a little too tight, her eyes glassy from wine. "Clara, a word," she said. I followed her out to a quiet terrace. "The wedding is just lovely, Mom," I offered, hoping for a truce. "No thanks to you," she snapped. "Eleanor and her husband ended up covering the cost when you bailed on us." "I thought Olivia and Marcus were handling it," I said. My mother sniffed. "Eleanor insisted when she heard about the situation." "But it should have been you. You're her family." "Mom, I couldn't take that money from Maya," I said, exhausted. "It's just money," she repeated, her voice rising. "Why was it so important for the money to come from me?" I asked, a sudden curiosity cutting through my fatigue. If Marcus's family could just cover it so easily? She didn't answer. "You should have helped your sister. That's what family does." Before I could reply, Olivia herself appeared, a shimmering vision in a second, equally expensive reception gown. "Having a nice chat?" she asked, her smile failing to reach her cold eyes. "Your wedding is beautiful, Olivia." "Truly," I said. "It is perfect," she agreed. "No thanks to you." "Olivia, please," I sighed. "Can we not do this today? I'm here to celebrate with you." "After you almost sabotaged the whole thing?" she hissed, her voice a low, venomous whisper. "You couldn't spare a dime for my one special day, but you're happy enough to come and enjoy the free food and drink." "That's not fair," I protested. "You know that money was for Maya's future." "Always hiding behind your daughter," Olivia spat, "using her as an excuse for your jealousy." Just then, Marcus arrived, placing a gentle hand on Olivia's arm. "Everything okay over here?" "Perfectly fine," Olivia said, her composure snapping back into place. "Just catching up with my sister." Marcus smiled at me, a genuinely warm smile. "Clara, right? Olivia has told me so much about you, and this must be the famous Maya I've heard so much about." He gestured toward our table, where Maya was meticulously eating her slice of cake. "Yes, that's Maya," I said, grateful for his friendly demeanor. "Olivia made it sound like you two weren't close," he remarked casually. "But I'm so glad you could be here today." An uncomfortable silence hung in the air as Olivia shot me a look that dared me to contradict her. I took the high road. "Family can be complicated, but it's the most important thing," I said simply. "Couldn't agree more," Marcus said. "Speaking of which, my mother, Eleanor, wants to properly meet Olivia's family. Why don't you all join us at the head table for a toast?" My mother's face lit up. "What a wonderful idea." Olivia looked less thrilled, but gave a stiff nod. As Marcus walked away, Olivia leaned in close. "Do not embarrass me in front of Marcus's family. They are very important people." I glanced at my watch. It was getting late. "Actually, I think Maya and I should head home soon. It's way past her bedtime." Olivia's face darkened. "You can't leave. The party is just getting started. It's been a long day for her," I said. "She's only 9. "Of course," my mother interjected with dripping sarcasm. "Maya's needs always come first." I took a deep breath, determined not to be drawn in. "Let me just get Maya so we can say our goodbyes." "Congratulations again, Olivia. It was a beautiful day." As I turned to walk away, Olivia grabbed my arm, her fingers digging into my skin. "You are not going anywhere. You already tried to ruin my wedding once. You will stay until I say you can leave." "Olivia, let go of me," I said firmly, yanking my arm away. "You're making a scene." Her voice rose, attracting attention. "You've been trying to undermine me from the very beginning. You've always been jealous." Marcus returned, his expression concerned. "Olivia, what's going on?" "She's trying to leave early," Olivia wailed. "After everything, she can't even be bothered to stay for the whole reception." "It's late for my daughter," I said, my voice rising in frustration. "She's exhausted." "Of course," Marcus said, ever the reasonable one. "These long events are tough on kids." "No!" Olivia's face twisted into an ugly mask of rage. "They're staying. I'm the bride, and I say they stay." People were openly staring now. I decided to ignore her, to just get Maya and make a quiet exit. I started walking back toward our table. Olivia followed me, her expensive gown swishing like an angry cat's tail. "Clara, don't you dare walk away from me on my wedding day." I reached our table. Maya looked up, her little face etched with worry. "Mom, is everything okay?" Before I could even form a reply, Olivia's gaze fell on Maya, and something shifted in her eyes. The hot rage was replaced by a cold, chilling calculation. A shiver of pure dread went down my spine. It happened in a horrifying blur. 1 second, Maya was sitting there looking up at me with worried eyes. The next, Olivia had lunged forward. She grabbed a fistful of Maya's long brown hair and yanked her violently from her chair. "You care so much about her, don't you?" Olivia screamed, dragging my terrified, crying daughter toward the small stage where the orchestra had been playing. "More than you care about your own sister." Maya's scream of pain was a shard of glass that shattered the festive atmosphere. Conversations died. The music faltered and stopped. A collective gasp went through the room. "Olivia, stop!" I screamed, lunging after them. "Let her go!" My mother stepped directly into my path, physically blocking me. "You brought this on yourself, Clara," she hissed. "If you had just given her the money, none of this would be happening." I couldn't process it. I shoved past my mother, my only thought to get to my child, but the maze of tables and stunned guests slowed me down. Olivia had dragged Maya to the edge of the stage. My daughter was sobbing, clawing at Olivia's hand. "Please, Aunt Olivia, you're hurting me," she cried. "Shut up!" Olivia snarled, and then she slammed Maya's body against the wall next to the stage. The sickening thud of my daughter hitting the wall echoed in the now silent ballroom. Everyone, hundreds of people, just watched, paralyzed with shock. "This is your fault, Clara," Olivia shrieked at me from across the room. "You could have stopped this." I finally broke free of the crowd and ran toward the stage. "Let her go, now, Olivia." My mother was right behind me, still pleading her insane case. "Clara, don't make it worse. Just promise her the money." It was surreal. My own mother was using my daughter's terror as a bargaining chip. Marcus stood by the head table, his face a mask of horror and disbelief. He took a hesitant step forward, but seemed frozen, unsure of what to do. Olivia, seeing me closing in, did the unthinkable. With one last hateful glare at me, she gave Maya a violent shove. The stage wasn't high, maybe 3 feet, but Maya fell awkwardly. Her head cracked against the sharp corner of a decorative table before she crumpled onto the floor in a heap. "Maya," I screamed, finally reaching her and dropping to my knees. A gash on her forehead was bleeding freely, and she was sobbing uncontrollably. "Mommy," she whimpered, clutching me. It hurt so much. I pulled her into my arms, frantically checking her for other injuries. The entire reception hall was a frozen tableau of horror. Olivia stood on the stage, a specter in white, her face a storm of fury. "Look what you made me do," she screamed at me. "You ruined my wedding. You always ruin everything." "I made you do this?" I yelled back, my voice breaking. "I made you hurt a child? Your own niece?" She wouldn't be hurt if you'd just given me the money, Olivia shouted, as if that was the most logical statement in the world. Marcus had finally snapped into action, striding toward his new wife, his face pale with revulsion. Olivia, what have you done? My mother rushed over, but not to Maya. Her focus was on crowd control. Everyone, please, she announced to the room. This is just a small family misunderstanding. Please return to your seats. The orchestra will resume shortly. No one moved. I examined the cut on Maya's forehead. It was bleeding steadily. More worrying was the dazed, unfocused look in her eyes. I feel dizzy, Mom, she whispered. A cold, sharp fear pierced through my panic. She needed a doctor. And then Olivia, who had been about to launch into another tirade, stopped dead. All the color drained from her face. No, she whispered, her voice barely audible. She can't be here. I looked up to see what had caused her sudden panic. A tall, impeccably dressed woman stood in the main doorway, her sharp, intelligent eyes taking in the entire horrific scene. It was Eleanor, Marcus's mother, the high-powered corporate lawyer. She had apparently stepped outside for a moment and returned to this chaos. Olivia began to tremble. For the first time all night, she looked truly afraid. Eleanor surveyed the room with a calm, practiced eye. Her gaze moved from Olivia on the stage to me on the floor cradling my bleeding child to the hundreds of frozen guests. Without a single word, she strode into the room, her presence radiating an authority that silenced everyone. "What is going on here?" she asked, her voice quiet but carrying the force of a command. No one answered. Eleanor knelt beside me, her expression softening as she looked at Maya. "Oh, you poor dear," she murmured, her voice gentle but firm. "Let me see." She gently tilted Maya's head. "This needs medical attention immediately." Olivia finally found her voice. She stepped down from the stage, with a shell-shocked Marcus trailing behind her. "Eleanor, it's not what it looks like," she began, her voice high and strained. "We just had a little family disagreement. It got out of hand." Eleanor stood up, facing Olivia squarely. "I saw what happened from the doorway, Olivia. I saw you drag this child by the hair. I saw you slam her against a wall, and I saw you push her off the stage. Those are not disagreements. Those are facts." Olivia went white. "She's my niece. It was a family matter." "Assaulting a child is never just a family matter," Eleanor replied, her voice like ice. My mother, Diana, rushed forward. "Eleanor, please, you have to understand, Clara provoked her. She refused to help with a wedding emergency. Olivia has been under so much stress." Eleanor turned her gaze on my mother, her eyebrows raised in disbelief. "Are you suggesting that refusing a request for money is justification for physically assaulting a 9-year-old girl?" My mother faltered. "Well, no, of course not, but the context." "Indeed, the context matters," Eleanor cut in. "The context here is that a bride at her own wedding violently attacked a child in front of 300 witnesses." She scanned the crowd. "Is there a doctor in the room?" An older man in a tuxedo stepped forward. "I'm Dr. Hayes, a pediatrician." "Doctor, would you please examine this child?" Eleanor requested. "I'm concerned about a possible concussion." Dr. Hayes knelt beside us, his manner calm and reassuring. He gently checked Maya's pupils and asked her a few simple questions. "She likely has a mild concussion," he confirmed after a moment. "The cut doesn't need stitches, but she needs to be monitored closely for the next 24 hours. I'd advise taking her to an emergency room to be safe." Eleanor nodded. "Thank you, doctor." She turned to me. "My driver is right outside. I'll have him take you to the hospital immediately." "This is insane!" Olivia interjected, her panic turning back to anger. It's a little bump on the head. Clara is just blowing this up to ruin my day." Marcus finally spoke, his voice tight with controlled fury. "Olivia, stop talking. I saw what you did. We all did." "Marcus!" Olivia's tone became a desperate plea. "You don't get it. She's been trying to sabotage us from the start." Eleanor addressed her son directly, her voice low but firm. "Marcus, I need to speak with you, privately, now." As they stepped away, Olivia looked cornered. She turned to my mother. "Mom, do something." My mother tried to insert herself into Eleanor's conversation with Marcus, but Eleanor gave her a look that could freeze fire. "Diana, your daughter's stress does not excuse felony assault. As an officer of the court, I cannot and will not ignore what I just witnessed." Dr. Hayes had helped me move Maya to a chair and was cleaning the cut on her forehead. "Is she going to be okay?" I asked him, my voice a whisper. "Physically, she'll heal," he said gently. "But a trauma like this, it can leave other kinds of scars. I would strongly recommend she speak to a professional." Maya was quiet, her big, tear-filled eyes fixed on me. "Mommy, I want to go home," she whispered. "We will, sweetie. We're just going to the hospital first to make sure your head is okay." Eleanor returned, her expression resolute. "My driver is waiting. He'll take you straight to Mount Sinai. I've already called ahead. They're expecting you." "Thank you," I said, my own tears finally falling. "I don't know what would have happened if you hadn't been here. I've spent my career fighting for people who can't fight for themselves," she said simply. "Now, is there anything else I can do?" I glanced at Olivia, who was now in a frantic, whispered argument with Marcus. He looked more horrified with every word she said. "No," I said, "we just need to go." As Eleanor walked us toward the exit, my mother made one last, desperate attempt. "Clara, please don't make a big deal out of this. Olivia is sorry, aren't you, Olivia?" Olivia didn't even hear her. Eleanor fixed my mother with a final, withering look. "Diana, I suggest you worry less about minimizing your daughter's actions and more about the legal storm she has just unleashed. This will have consequences." My mother's face crumpled. "Legal consequences? But we're family." "Family does not get a free pass to commit crimes," Eleanor stated, her voice unequivocal, "especially not against children." As we reached the door, Eleanor spoke quietly to me. "Clara, what happened tonight was not your fault. No amount of money, no wedding, no family obligation ever justifies what she did to your daughter." Her words were a balm on my raw, guilt-ridden soul. "Thank you," I sobbed. She squeezed my shoulder. "Get Maya taken care of. I will handle things here. I'll call you tomorrow." As the heavy doors closed behind us, I could hear Eleanor's clear, authoritative voice addressing the stunned crowd. "Ladies and gentlemen, due to an unforeseen incident, the reception is now over. Please gather your belongings and exit in an orderly fashion." The plush leather of the waiting luxury car was a bizarre contrast to the chaos we'd just escaped. As we settled in the back, Maya leaned her head against my shoulder, her small body trembling. "Why did Aunt Olivia hurt me, Mommy?" she asked in a tiny voice that shattered my heart into a million pieces. "Sometimes, honey. Adults do awful things when they feel angry and aren't in control," I whispered, holding her tight. "But it is never, ever okay. And it was not your fault. Not one bit." As the car pulled away, I glanced back at the magnificent manor, the site of my sister's dream come true, now the scene of a nightmare. Eleanor was standing on the front steps, already on her phone, her expression like flint. In the middle of the worst night of my life, a tiny flicker of hope ignited. Someone powerful was on our side. The emergency room was a haven of calm efficiency that night. Maya was seen almost immediately, the staff galvanized by whatever Eleanor had said on her call. The doctor confirmed Dr. Hayes' diagnosis. A mild concussion, no signs of more severe injury. They cleaned and bandaged her forehead and gave us instructions to monitor her for the next day. As we waited for the discharge papers, the sheer weight of it all came crashing down. My sister had attacked my child. My mother had enabled it. If Eleanor hadn't walked in, I shuddered to think. Guilt ate at me. I should have left earlier. I should have seen this coming. It's not your fault, Mom, Maya said quietly, as if she could hear my thoughts. Even hurt and scared, my sweet girl was trying to take care of me. I'm so sorry this happened to you, baby, I whispered. I know, she said. Then after a moment, Grandma and Aunt Olivia were really mean today. The understatement was so profound, it almost made me laugh. Yes, they were. Very mean. Are they going to be mean forever now? She asked. I had no answer. Just as we were about to leave, Eleanor appeared in the doorway, still in her wedding attire but looking as composed as ever. I hope I'm not intruding. I wanted to see how Maya was doing. That's so kind of you, I said, genuinely moved. She smiled warmly at Maya. Hello, Lily. I'm Eleanor, Marcus's mother. How are you feeling? My head hurts, Maya said honestly, but the doctor said it will be okay. I'm very glad to hear that, Eleanor said. You were incredibly brave. Maya looked at her curiously. Why did Aunt Olivia get so scared when you came in? Eleanor glanced at me before answering. I'm a lawyer, and I work to protect people who have been hurt. People who do the hurting know that I take my job very seriously. Maya nodded, satisfied. Eleanor then turned to me. The reception is over. Marcus is devastated. He had no idea Olivia was capable of this. What happens now? I asked. That partly depends on you, she said. As a witness and an officer of the court, I have an obligation to report this. However, given the family connection, I wanted to discuss the options with you first. She laid them out, pressing formal criminal charges, seeking a restraining order, or handling it privately with strict legally binding conditions. Take some time, she advised. This is not a decision to be made in a state of shock. Whatever you decide, you have my full support. Thank you, I said again, for everything. Eleanor's smile was sad. I've seen far too much abuse excused in the name of family. I could not stand by and let it happen again. We spent the night in the hospital for observation. I dozed in the uncomfortable chair by Maya's bed, my sleep filled with fractured, anxious dreams. By morning, Maya was feeling much better, though a nasty purple bruise was blooming on her forehead. As we were getting ready to go home, there was a soft knock on the door. It was Marcus, looking like he hadn't slept in a week. May I come in? He asked. I nodded warily. He approached Maya's bed. Hi, Maya. I'm your Uncle Marcus. I am so sorry for what happened yesterday. What Olivia did was terrible and wrong, and there is no excuse for it. Did you know she was going to hurt me? Maya asked with the unfiltered honesty of a child. Marcus looked horrified. Never. I had no idea she could ever do something like that, if I had known. He trailed off, then took a deep breath. I would not have married her. The words hung in the sterile air. Marcus, I said, that lighting emergency. It was never real, was it? He looked confused. Lighting emergency? What are you talking about? I quickly explained the dinner, the demand for $20,000. His expression shifted from confusion to shock, then to a deep, quiet rage. There was no emergency, Clara. We booked and paid the deposit on that company months ago. Then what was the money for? I asked, though I was starting to guess. Olivia. She wanted to upgrade our honeymoon flights to a private jet, he said slowly, looking sick. She mentioned it, and I said it was an unnecessary extravagance. She must have. She tried to get the money from you. and she lied to your mother to get her to help." He looked at me, his eyes full of shame. "Clara, I am so sorry. I had no idea any of this was happening." "It's not your fault, Marcus," I said, and I was surprised by how much I meant it. He turned back to Maya. "I promise you, Maya, Olivia will face consequences for what she did." Then he looked at me. "I will be covering every penny of Maya's medical bills and any therapy she might need. And Clara, my mother told me about the college fund. I want to contribute to it." "Marcus, you don't have to do that," I protested. "I know," he said, his voice firm, "but I want to. Please, let me do this." His sincerity was undeniable. I could only nod, too overwhelmed to argue. The weeks that followed were a blur. The story of the wedding implosion spread like wildfire. Friends and family chose sides. I ignored the noise and focused on Maya. She started seeing a wonderful child psychologist, Dr. Evans, and James, true to his word, covered every expense. Eleanor called every other day, becoming a steady, reassuring presence in our lives. Olivia sent one pathetic text. "Sorry things got out of hand. Hope Maya's okay." I deleted it without responding. My mother left a series of voicemails escalating from pleading to angry. With the guidance of Eleanor and Dr. Evans, I made my decision. I filed for a restraining order against Olivia and set firm, non-negotiable conditions. She had to attend and complete a year of intensive therapy. She had to write a formal letter of apology, taking full responsibility. She was to have zero contact with Maya unless Maya herself requested it, and even then, only under supervision. Any violation would trigger immediate criminal proceedings. Marcus, who was already filing for an annulment, backed these conditions completely. My mother was furious, calling it a vindictive overreaction, but she quieted down when Eleanor calmly laid out the alternative, a public trial for felony child assault. A few weeks later, Eleanor called. "Clara, I sit on the board of a nonprofit that provides legal aid to domestic violence survivors. They're looking for a new office manager. The pay is good, the hours are steady. I've already recommended you." I was stunned. "You do that? You barely know me." "I know what I need to know," she replied. "I know you're strong, principled, and a devoted mother. That's more than enough." The new job was a godsend. The work felt important. My colleagues were supportive, and for the first time in years, I didn't have to work weekends. I could be home when Maya got back from school. We found a new rhythm, a new normal. Maya's nightmares faded. She started playing her violin with passion again. Marcus and Eleanor became a fixture in our lives. We'd have Sunday dinners at Eleanor's house. "You two are the one good thing that came out of this whole disaster," Marcus told me one afternoon as we watched Maya and Eleanor planting tulips in the garden. "I lost a wife, but I gained a niece and a true friend." The final showdown with my mother came one evening when she showed up at my apartment unannounced. "This has gone on long enough, Clara," she said, marching inside. "You need to forgive your sister and let this go. Family is too important." I stayed calm. "Mom, family is exactly why I'm doing this. I'm protecting my family, Maya and me, from people who hurt us." "It was one mistake," she cried. "Assaulting a child isn't a mistake, Mom. It's a choice. And your choice to defend her is just as damaging. So that's it? You're just cutting us out of your life?" she asked, her voice trembling with anger. "No," I said softly. "I'm setting boundaries. When Olivia completes her therapy and shows genuine remorse, we can talk about supervised visits. When you can admit that what happened was wrong, you can see Maya again." She called me ridiculous and stormed out, but I didn't waver. That night, as I tucked Maya in, she looked up at me. "Mom, Are you sad that Grandma and Aunt Olivia aren't in our lives anymore? I thought about it for a moment. I'm sad about the choices they made, I said honestly. I miss the idea of the family I wish we had. But I am not sad about keeping you safe. I am not sad about building a better, healthier life for us. Maya nodded. Eleanor says sometimes the family you choose is more important than the family you're born with. Eleanor is a very wise woman. I smiled. I think we chose a good one, Maya said, snuggling into her pillows. You and me and Eleanor and Marcus. I kissed the spot on her forehead where the scar had long since faded. I think so too, sweetheart. I really think so too. The path from that horrific day had been painful, but it led us somewhere better. I found a strength I never knew I had. I learned that setting boundaries isn't selfish, it's self-preservation. And I showed my daughter that true love doesn't tolerate abuse, that family should be your safest place, not your deepest wound. As our story started to get shared online, I heard from so many others with similar stories of family betrayal. Their messages reminded me that we are not alone. So if you're out there facing your own family crisis, please know this. You deserve to be safe, respected, and loved unconditionally. Sometimes the hardest choice, the choice to step away, is the only way to step forward into the life and the family you truly deserve. Have you ever had to set difficult boundaries with family? How did you navigate it? Share your own stories in the comments below. And if my story resonated with you, please like, subscribe, and share it. You never know who might need to hear that they're not alone. Thank you for listening. And remember, your value is never determined by the people who fail to see it.